Today, we're going to talk about the recent news that the Crabada devs shared with us regarding the end to the CRA rewards for in-game activity. I've heard some of you guys express concerns about this. Oh, how are we going to get CRA now? Where will it come from? Does this mean the game is going down the tubes? Folks, this is a good thing for the whole ecosystem, and it boils down to one thing: more development, which is exactly what we need. And let me explain why. First, the fact that CRA was never meant to be a permanent means of rewards in game is irrelevant. Some of you guys are in the official Discord. You're saying that technically you're correct, but you're missing the whole point as to why it's a good idea, anyways, to get rid of the CRA rewards in game. So CRA is the game's governance token, and there is a fixed supply, unlike TUS, which goes inflationary some days and inflationary other days. For CRA, there's two main functions for the token that exist as of today, and that's really the breeding of crabs and speculation. With the removal of CRA from the game's reward system, CRA tokens are going to be more scarce, and in turn, that raises the value of CRA, which will raise the cost of breeding new crabs, but may not necessarily raise the price tag of crabs, as denoted in TUS, on the marketplace, and I'll get more to that later. If you're holding CRA in hopes of unstaking it later and selling it for a profit, this is exactly the kind of news you should be hoping for. But now, what does that mean for those of us that have an even longer term horizon for the project? When it comes to breeding, the tusk that's used in the process is burned, while the CRA that is used, and I'm quoting the white paper here, will be sent to the treasury to be managed by governance for CRA holders. When breeders breed, they will be giving their CRA back to the devs through this process. What will the devs do with this CRA? Well, now that the only way to get CRA will be to buy it off the market from other CRA holders, the devs will now sell CRA to breeders as opposed to giving it away for free through the in-game activities. Breeders will need it for continuing to expand their crab farms. The cycle of receiving CRA from breeders in exchange for the ability to breed and then selling the same CRA back to the breeders at their next breeding cycle would mean salaries for the team, or maybe a marketing war chest for when they feel the project can handle it. This is how we as a player base are going to support the dev team as they continue to develop the Crabada ecosystem while we develop our own crab farms and scale up over the coming bear market. Okay, so we know that this is going to have some sort of effect on crab prices, obviously. So what can we expect? Well, with the battle game being out for barely a week and people still having widely differing opinions on which is more profitable, battle game versus the idle game versus on the sea chain that's closed out now versus on swimmer, and looting versus mining versus whatever. The truth is we're going to have to make some general assumptions based on some possibly slightly outdated yet up until recently widely accepted truths. Okay. So, assuming we're talking about floor price crabs, which have floated around 17,000 TUS over the last few weeks, the general assumption was that one could reasonably expect to make all of their initial investment back within 100 days, give or take, at least in terms of TUS. We know that the idle games TUS rewards are being cut by 30%, and frankly, I think the idle games days are absolutely numbered. Regardless, we have people that feel that the battle game is more profitable than the idle game, even before the 30% reduction. And we have people that feel the opposite. So, for the sake of getting the point across regarding the removal of CRA from game rewards, let's just assume theoretically that battle game rewards are the same as idle game rewards. Okay. We're not trying to split hairs here. The bottom line is that your crabs are going to get a little bit less productive. If the market were 100% elastic, informed, and rational, the removal of CRA rewards would result in crab prices falling because there's a real monetary value attributed to that CRA that we can no longer expect to receive as a return of our investment on a daily basis. If you were selling everything your crabs made every single day at the end of the day and not expanding your farm, the removal of CRA from the game rewards means a drop in your daily earnings. So your crabs just lost a certain amount of daily earning potential. Remember, even if you're buying all of your crabs as opposed to breeding them, there is a TUS value associated with that extra CRA that you can exchange for and put towards expansion of your crabs, or immediately turn around and sell it on the market. Again, we're talking about the idea here of how this is going to change, how this particular update will change the economy. I'm well aware that there are macro factors that are having a much more significant impact on our crab's daily potential for cash flow. So that said, with the expected drop in value of our crabs due to expecting less daily tuss, due to no more craw, which can be sold for tuss, we could reasonably expect crab prices to dip. However, remember, staying within the ecosystem and ignoring everything that's going on outside of the ecosystem, breeders now have to sell their tuss to buy craw from the developers in order to breed, which means that in addition to the average amount of tuss going towards directly paying for breeding, there's a tuss equivalent that is being spent on purchasing additional craw to carry out the actual breeding. So I see breeders passing this cost along to the buyers, which will mean a higher price tag in exchange for a crab with lower returns. So because you got these two factors pulling in opposite directions for the crab prices, I don't really see any dramatic price changes in the crabs, at least as far as the floor price crabs are concerned. Rather, my guess is relatively stable crab prices in terms of tuss, um, with the need for all of us to come to grips with the fact that the idea of a 100-day ROI, even if the coin prices stay stable, is it's just no longer the case.